Hey, Chris Williams here, keynote speaker and thought leader on workplace culture. Now I know today you're looking at me and you're going, what kind of video is this? Well listen, I wanted to do something a little different today, go into a different environment and share with you some principles and some ideas about how do you change culture? How can you be a person of great impact as an individual, but have a greater impact on the world around you and the people that you may work with and the people that you do life with? Well, today I decided why not come into a gym, do a workout in honor of Muhammad Ali, and while I'm here, I thought I'd share with you 3 things that you can do in order to have an impact on culture the Muhammad Ali way, or as I like to call it, the GOAT workout to culture and improvement in your world. Now here's one thing that I want us to consider. There was a particular time in America where racial tensions were on high, where everything that you saw and heard had a very negative connotation to it when it came to African Americans. Well, there was one person in our life who made an impact along with many others, and that's what this video is about. So today I have on my gloves, and it's because I want to talk about not just the people that we really do pay attention to, the Martin Luther Kings, the different people in our worlds who we know they've made an impact on getting us where we are today in 2016 in America. But what I wanted to do is share with you what I was able to pull out and extract out of looking at Muhammad Ali's life. Now, as we all know, we lost him last weekend. I was actually up watching the playoffs, and I came across the screen to be able to see that he had passed away. He's such a great man, and all week long you've seen everything on different channels, different networks about his life. But I was able to extract 3 things that I truly believe will help you inside of your company really build the type of culture that you want, and more importantly, make a change on it. First thing you gotta think about is, what did Muhammad Ali do when he first came on the scene? Yes, he was loud. Yes, he had a lot to say. But here's something that I don't think a lot of people paid attention to from the moment Muhammad Ali showed up. Muhammad Ali, and this is principle number 1, was able to change the narrative about African Americans in the United States to talk about something other than race. Notice how he was able to do that. Number 1, he was very loud. We all know that. There's so many quotes and great things that he said in front of an audience. But here's what I want you to pay attention to when it comes to being able to change the narrative in order to grow the type of culture that you want. I want you to notice that he was able to take the conversation off of African Americans and solely place it on what he wanted you to talk about, what he wanted you to pay attention to. So in this first principle, I want you to think about, how can you begin to change the narrative about the things that you don't like? Well, the best way to do it is to solely narrow the focus on everything that you're doing. If you're a business and you really want people to focus on a particular value that you all share or a principle inside of your company, well then change the narrative in your marketing. Change the narrative of communication inside of the company. Change the narrative in your meetings. If you want more of an exciting type of company and people inside of your company excited about what you're doing, be exciting inside of your meetings instead of really boring meetings. Have less meetings. Do things that are spontaneous. Do things that get people to wonder what is going on. Think about when Muhammad Ali showed up in his interviews and the way he approached the ring, the way he was outside of the ring after he would win. He made sure that the narrative stayed on what he wanted you to focus on. Now, when you do things like that, it starts to build what we know in media and in networking is it starts to build a tribe. So much like today as I'm shooting on Facebook Live, people are able to see you do what you do, and they're able to start to join the narrative that you were solely focused on. As they begin to do that, remember what happened with Muhammad Ali. One of his greatest supporters, and what I would call the first person to ever be a social media guru, was Howie Cosell, because Howie followed him for every single place that he went. Every time he opened his mouth, he was standing right there to be able to capture all of the great footage that we notice and pay attention to 30, 40 years later. That's the point. So I want you to truly think about, how can you begin to change the narrative? What do you have to do from a marketing standpoint? What do you have to do with your communications externally and internally, inside of your companies and out to the world of your customers? How can you begin to truly get people to focus on the core values of who you are and what you do? Now, as an individual, it's actually pretty simple. It comes down to your habits. Where are you? What things are you doing? How are you spending your time? How are you investing what you know? This way, as people begin to talk about you, the narrative changes from something you don't want people to focus on to something truly that you care about. That's principle number one. You can do in order to be able to impact culture change, make the change that you truly want to see inside of your business or in your personal life or as an entrepreneur, is that you have to be willing to lose. I hate to say it, it's tough to hear, but let me explain what I mean by that. See, Muhammad Ali came up at such a tense time that as he began to get better in his sport of boxing, as he knocked more people out, as he talked more, as he became one of the best quotable boxers that we've ever heard, there was a point in time where the draft came. We were fighting a war overseas. And unfortunately, Muhammad Ali had to make a decision. Will he choose to continue to fight, or will he just choose to go on and not do anything and try to keep it quiet? Well, unfortunately, because of the draft, he had to make a decision. And he chose not to go fight because of what he believed in. And that's something that I want you to truly understand. See, when you want to make change possible in whether it's your job or at your home or inside of a company that you're an executive for, you're going to lose something. And so Muhammad Ali chose to not go and do what it is that he wanted to do, which was box, and he said, I'm not going to go into the war either. So what did the World Federation do as far as boxing is concerned? They took it. They took his belts in the prime of his career. He was facing jail time, and he had to sit out for 3 years. Now here's what I want you to understand, that you might not be facing those types of challenges or those decisions inside of your personal life, but you might be just facing those issues and those situations inside of your company. You might be facing different situations and challenges that apply to your business, to what you do as an individual. And sometimes you're going to lose. And let me tell you what you might lose in the modern day world. You might lose some ego. You might lose your ability to be right in a particular moment. But what you will gain on the other side of doing what's right always is respect. Think about over time what Muhammad Ali became. He became even greater outside of the ring after he retired than he was when he was in the ring. Why? Because truthfully, when you want to make changes in your culture, in your business and what you do, you're going to have to realize that sometimes losing is actually a gain. You gain people's respect. You might lose a little ego, but you gain some trust and vulnerability among your teams and your friends and inside of your companies. You might lose a little bit of market share, but you gain more loyal people to your brand and to who you are. I want you to just realize that when you're trying to make change real and want to change a culture, there's going to be some things that you're going to lose. But realize that what you gain is 10 times better than anything that you're going to give up for a temporary, uncomfortable situation. third and final piece I want to give you. You know, Muhammad Ali was great, not just in the ring, but outside of the ring. And his third piece is really, really important. Sometimes redirection will change the game of all culture for you. I want you to think about redirection in a couple of different ways. How can you begin to redirect to get people to not only focus on that narrative, but also to make things uncomfortable for people sometimes? You know, status quo is starting to go out of the world. So, you know, when I've been working out in the gym, as you've been able to see in this video, we're doing some really great workouts. But here's what I want you to think about. How can you practice redirection inside of your company? Think about it. The next time you have a meeting, instead of always focusing on all the problems and only having a meeting to talk about what's wrong and what needs to be fixed and how we're going to deal with this and mitigate this problem, how about just have a conversation about what went right? Focus your leaders on getting into a point where they're talking about what people in their teams are doing. Learn a little bit more about what personal things that people are accomplishing. You know, who went and ran that 20K for breast cancer? Who actually went and did that workout that they've always wanted to do? Who went and climbed that mountain that they've been really truly focusing on? Who's been able to buy that new house that is on the teams? You know, I want you to think about that. Think about in marketing how some companies have been able to redirect how you go about looking at what they do. Many people focus on transacting people to death. I mean, think about it, everywhere we go, right? You gotta buy this, buy here for me before you get this. Even on social media, you see it all the time. People have got 10 secrets to increasing profits and driving social media traffic, and they won't tell you anything until you buy. Well, here's what I want you to do. Redirect that. Instead of always waiting for people to give you something before you give, how about you be just the first to give? How about just give people value? How about tell them what to do and watch how your tribe and the loyalty and your brand will grow? That's what people will be able to buy from you. That's what people truly want. I really want you to think about how are you really focusing on providing value. Redirect the messaging, redirect the narrative, redirect your meetings, redirect how you go home from work in the afternoon. If you're always going home the same way, well, guess what? You're going to eventually be on autopilot. What I want you to do, take a different way home. Pick up your kids in something different. Go somewhere different this summer. Do something that is different and redirect the conversation. Have a shock and awe moment. Make your wife breakfast tomorrow morning. But do something that is different to redirect the conversation, to wake the people up in your personal life, in your business, and the people that you serve. When you start doing these types of things, it will change dramatically how people see you and where you want to go. So, as I've been working out today, thinking about Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest of all time, I wanted to do a workout in his honor, and I wanted to bring you into 9 rounds. Not because it's just a cool place, but I want you to think about what could you begin to work out inside of your culture, inside of your teams, inside of your company. How could you begin to be the best version of you in all facets of your life? How can you begin to make an impact on that culture? Well, do what Muhammad Ali did, as I mentioned. Sometimes changing the narrative is the most important step that you will ever take. How you communicate with people, where you communicate with people, the way you do things inside of your business. If the narrative right now is that, you know what, you're a very negative boss and people think that you just don't like them, do something different to make a change. You can also make sure that you're focusing on how do you do that? Well, a good way to do this is to truly be thinking about how in the world can I get people to redirect that conversation. When you're able to do things like that, redirection is all about just shaking it up, doing something different. As you see, I'm here in the gym today. I'm not in my office in my blazer as you typically see, but I want you to really think and do something different inside of your company and organization. And hey, when you're able to apply these 3 principles that we talked about today, I promise you, the one thing that it's going to do is it's going to point the way forward for you, your company, and actually your business.